and welcome to the WHYcast, episode 18. I'm Nancy.
I'm Ad.
And we are the hosts of the only podcast about a hacker camp in the universe. This volunteer-run event will take place this year, I almost said next year, in the Netherlands, approximately 42 kilometers above Amsterdam, from August 8th to 12th, 2025. So, Ad, what are we talking about today?
Well, just as every week, we have some news from Project Lead. We have a nice where to hack. We have some cool interviews with people done by you. We have team accessibility and team power. So that's a strong start. We have the vacancy of the week. We have a message from listeners, and I think that's about it for this week.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah. So let's just jump into the news.
We made it halfway. Yoo-hoo! Yes, we sold 50% of the tickets.
Oops.
Yeah, kind of. That's a little jump cut here. It's now Friday morning.
The 24th of January, yeah.
A couple of hours before the launch of this episode. And I think we've been a bit over-enthusiastic in our prognosis. We're not yet we're close. I mean,
very, very really close.
Yeah. Currently, I'm refreshing. We're 33 off halfway. But we were kind of hoping to be there, and we're not
quite there yet.
No. But it's just a few. So if you're hearing this, just go and click things and yeah. But I mean, we have good news. I think about 10%.
Yeah,
of
almost
the tickets
200 tickets. Yeah,
have been sold to people up to 16. So we have a lot of fresh blood and young hackers making their way to Geestmerambacht. The merch sales are doing great, like 500 or something. So that's all really, really cool. But just not
quite there yet.
No.
Almost.
So when you hear this, just go buy your ticket. I mean, it's always a good idea.
I'm going to edit this in the episode, and we will proceed with the rest of the episode. So here's over to
us from the past.
Blast from the past, Nancy.
Also, what I wanted to mention is the next in-person meet with the organization. That will be on the 22nd of February. So in a couple of weeks, mark your calendars. And it will be at the Hackerspace in Arnhem, Hack 42. So thank you so much for the hospitality, of course, to them. And please do sign up on the wiki, because last time we had a little bit of a food issue. If we don't know that you're coming, we might have a problem feeding you, and we like to have enough for everybody there. So please don't forget to sign up. We will probably repeat that a couple of times in this podcast and on other channels. And we would love to see you there, of course, because up till now, all the previous editions were a blast.
It was great. Yeah.
So we will see you. Yeah. We will see you all in Arnhem. Yeah. And what I've always also understood, from the last online Orga meet, was that the CFP is a bit slow. In case you don't know what CFP stands for, that's the you can go to a former call for a proposal, or call for paper, or call for participation. I think at MCH we had around 200-ish talks, presentations, workshops, things like that. I might be wrong with that number. I will have to check it. But a lot of people will be showing up, and we would love to provide them with loads of content. Of course, not all the content on the campus curated, because villages can have their own schedule as well with cool talks and workshops. But it would be lovely to see more content. So if you have any subject about any topic that is somewhere related to one of the ideas that Team Content came up with, and that is quite broad, I might add, please consider turning in your CFP. Also, because still there are volunteers that have to review the content, everything that is coming in. If you wait until last minute, they will have a lot of work at the end. So it would really help them. If you have some plan or anything, please send in your CFP.
Yep. It is better to have your talk halfway finished, but already signed in.
Yes.
Then wait till you're satisfied, because a talk is never done. So just put it into the CFP, and you can actually even update and change it. So you can add on, you can refine your summary later on. But please send your summaries, send your CFPs.
And also, if you have been to other events that we share at Where to Hack, and you see a very cool speaker, please remind them that they can be a speaker as well at Why. So it doesn't have to be yourself, but encourage other people to do so too.
Definitely.
Cool.
Speaking of the Where to Hack.
Each week, we will share where you can find why-minded people. Where to hack.
Yep. I have been in an airplane, which is kind of a thing nowadays, but I have been in an airplane. And what I absolutely don't understand is that in airplanes, the sound quality is still so freakingly bad.
We got this expensive machine that is able to fly itself with thousands and thousands of kilos and tens or hundreds of people on board, and then the message from the captain. So apparently we're near the airport or something. I don't know.
And the weather is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It strikes me every time. I'm like, seriously, people, can we do better than this in sound quality in airplanes? And this brings me to the Where to Hack of this week, because to me, when I read it, this camp sounds like a muffled airplane captain. Camp.org/Ghent 2025. So maybe you can tell a little bit more about it.
It's the
camp.
It's the configuration management camp, but in the URL they decided to abbreviate. So CFGMGMT camp.org.
They left out all the vowels.
Yeah. We'll put the link in the show notes, so you can just click on it. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it is a cool camp. It's about open source. It's infrastructure automation and stuff related to that. So I've never been myself, but I've spoken to several people who have been there, who actually also did talks there, and they all had a blast because they keep going.
Yeah, and they do it right after FOSDEM. And they say with great beer and waffles and all the charms that Belgium can bring people as well. So, and also what I understood for people who went there, that it is a great camp. Let me see. Oh, you are also
3, 4, and 5 February in Ghent in Belgium,
which is a beautiful city in itself. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, if you're there anyway, spend a few days extra and take in.
They say, more value, more waffles, more beer, and the best community around. If that isn't a great sales pitch, I don't know.
Exactly.
So link in the show notes, like Alt said, and we didn't prepare a history lesson for this week. And we would really love to hear some stories, to crowdsource some stories, because of course we both have a job as well, and it takes a lot of time sometimes to figure stuff out and find out, or invite Walter to give him some history lessons. So if you have any cool stories to share from former camps, please reach out to us so we can use it for history lessons in the future.
Yeah. You can share your story,
but
you can also send in your recording. I mean,
sure.
Feel free to record it yourself, and feel free to reach out and schedule a video call. It's also fine. Or reach out and meet us at one of the events.
One of the events
in person, or Hamid, could be Hacker Hotel, wherever we are. We'll have a camera so we can record.
Because we are quite accessible.
I think so.
Which brings us to
WHYcast at WHY2025.org.
Yes, you can always send us a message. And talking about accessible, I had a lovely interview with Simon. Simon is the team lead of Team Accessibility, and he has some serious ambitions, which you can hear in the interview. And also some requests for help. So let's listen to Simon. So here today with Simon, I love all 42 teams, and this is also one who has I have a little soft spot for. And maybe Simon, you can tell a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you are planning or what you are doing already for WHY.
Yeah. Hello, Nancy. It's lovely to see you again. And it's lovely to be on this podcast.
Thanks.
Yes, I'm Simon, he, they, and I am leading one of the 42. And 42 is a great number, isn't it? We love the number 42. I'm leading the accessibility team, which the reason Nancy likes the accessibility team, in case anybody didn't know, is because she set it up and then somehow found me in a hole somewhere in London and said, please run it for me. And somehow here I am as head of accessibility for the best Dutch nerd camp in the world, which I think is kind of cool, don't you? But anyway, so I'm Simon. I'm in London, where it's currently raining. I work for Transport for London, and as one of my side jobs, I run the disability network. And I work with the wider rail industry and road industry in the UK, looking at accessibility to transport. But one of the things I also do is I volunteer with a whole bunch of groups who do like outdoor activities or who try and create more accessible spaces for people to take part in things like maker spaces. And that's how I heard about WHY. And so I thought, I know, I'll drop Nancy a quick email and say, hi. And one thing led to another, and suddenly I have a team of 4 hopefully, according to the email I've just had. And one of the things we want to look at is how do we make WHY the most accessible festival of 2025?
That's a big dream. That's my goodness. Well, that's some standards you put up there for the event, but
aim high, and then if you get partway there, then it's something.
Absolutely, and I know it's been hard in the past to find people who are willing, able, and enthusiastic about the subject. So I'm really cool that it's so close to your heart. And you also have been volunteering at EMF, I think.
Yes,
UK
so
camp?
I did a few shifts during the event. He says, 1 or 2. It's my autistic thing is that I like to help where I can, and my way of dealing with like big crowds and things like that is to put a big mask on and go and do something, run an event or help out or whatever it might be. So is that healthy? Who knows? But
and
that's
rains
being like
crazy, probably.
Yeah, crazy, huh? You've been talking to all my friends again. But yeah, I did. I helped out there. I've helped out a couple of festivals. And I think that there's a huge benefit to making events like this more accessible, because especially when we look at things like hacker spaces and maker spaces, historically they've not been as accessible or inclusive as we might want them to be, for a variety of reasons. But when we look historically, the disabled people have always been at the heart of technology, of hacking, of creating these things, partly driven by our own need to fix the world that doesn't work for us, and partly because it often gives people an outlet for their creative abilities. You know, if we think about the social model of disability, for example, the way in which we want to remove barriers to people in life means that asking a disabled person how to fix something better for them is going to get you a greater outcome. And so I've been looking around at lots of different maker spaces and hacker spaces in all across Europe and America. And lots of them have started thinking about how to make those spaces more accessible. And so when Nancy and I were talking about this, we were thinking, well, how do we make why more accessible? Is that things like, do we have toilets which are easier for people to use if they're in a wheelchair? Do we make sure that the information that we put together before the event can be read in colours that are okay for people with colour blindness? How do we make sure it's done in language that people more natively understand? I mean, obviously, I don't speak very much Dutch. I can order a beer now, so I'm getting better.
Perfect.
But you know, we sort of start thinking about what little changes can we make, which are small, simple, straightforward, to be able to say to people, when you come here, you will not just be welcomed, but you will be included. You will belong here. And I think there's a really powerful statement to how we can do things like this. And a lot of the work that you and Bookworm and PL, for example, have been doing over the last few months that I can see has been about building up the teams so that we can create a space where people feel they belong. And that's so powerful, I think. And that's what I really love as part of this huge team of misfits and nerds and queer people and wonderful people that makes up Why. It's great.
Yeah. And it's also so interesting to see that the variety of people who are there.
Oh yeah.
And what I know from, because I may or may haven't told in this podcast that I'm also an avid volunteer for the Special Olympics. So that's sports for people with intellectual disabilities. If you make an event more accessible to people with disabilities, it's also so much nicer for all the other people there.
Yep, absolutely.
So every little improvement you make, we all benefit. It's not only for a specific group of people. Because easy language, I'm not a native speaker in English, which you can hear very well. But that's okay. That's what it is. So easy language also helps me.
Yeah.
Of course, I've got my quirks as well. It's for the greater good. It's not just for someone who is impaired in any way or needs that has any disability at all. So that's also very powerful, I think.
Yeah, and you know, we have to think about this in terms of more than just visible disabilities. You know, when we think about like 80% of disabilities are invisible; they're not seen, and that could be someone with a long-term health condition. So, what's one of the things we did? We talked to First Aid about, are there sharps bins, so that if people need to use injections for insulin, for example, or anything else, is there a place where they can get rid of their needles safely? And that's just, we start thinking about all these little things across the event, and we go, oh, that's easy to do. Let's just do that. In the we've been working with the audio visual team. Is that
Productie House? Yeah,
Productie
I
House.
know.
There we go. I will learn all of these names before we get there. I promise everybody listening, I will get that correct. Maybe, possibly.
It's fine, and others otherwise call it just production house. Then you're there. Yeah. That's near enough.
Yeah, but I want to. Anyway,
okay.
I've been talking to them about how we can make sure that people with hearing disabilities can more easily take part in those talks. And is that things like using an induction loop, whereby if you've got a hearing aid, you can tune into it, or putting closed captions on a screen, and lots of sort of little things that work for them. But also, if you put captions on a screen, lots of people like that.
Will benefit
that
from
helps
it, yeah.
So many. I mean, I my hearing's fine. I like to see it because I can follow along better.
Yeah.
Do we make sure that at the bar we have at least one section that's a bit lower so that people who might be in wheelchairs or just are shorter can more easily get their drinks without spilling them everywhere? It's little changes that we can make which just make it easier for everyone else. The way I like to think of it is if you have an adjustable light in your house, sometimes you want it bright, sometimes you want it dark. But if you have someone who always gets headaches or migraines from a bright light, you keep it down a bit. But sometimes I want it down a bit. These little things we can do that just make life a bit better for everyone.
What are the you've been talking mainly to other teams to help them out and give them tips and tricks and things, and ask them questions about how can we do that? Is there a possibility to like the needle example? What are the things that you want to get your hands at but haven't been able to or need help with? Is there anything people can do to help you and your team?
So I like autistic admission here. I quite like traveling. Trains are fine. I more like the stations, but whatever. One of the things which I do want to do, and I might need to talk to the transport team, or I might need other people to help, is figure out, can we put together a list of how to get to the site from various big cities around Europe, and with like a recommended kind of itinerary. So if you're coming from, say, Berlin, what's the best way to get there? If you're coming from Amsterdam, what's the best way to get there? If you're coming from, and sort of say, you can get these trains go to here, these buses go to here. Let's try and make sure people use public transport rather than driving, because carbon, the world is on fire. And think about also, possibly this is where I might need some help, is understanding how people can both get to and from the site, but how they get around the site, because I don't know it at all. I know we're going to go and visit it, and that might answer some of the questions. What else? Admission. I know very little about programming and development and computer stuff. So I probably need someone who can help me understand things like, how can we make the website more accessible? Because I can look at it and go, how easy is it? How difficult is it? Someone who understands programming, development.
Web accessibility, specifically.
Yes, because that's a closed book to me. I can tell you how to build a bridge and how to build railways across the continent. That's easy. Civil engineering, fine. Digital engineering, a bit more difficult for me.
Really your cup of tea. Okay, so if anyone has any knowledge on that department, that would help a lot. And I think we have loads of people in our community who have knowledge about that, right?
Yeah. But also, I think the best way of building up an understanding of what people need is to crowdsource the question. What one thing, think about an event you went to before. What one thing would have made it more accessible for you?
Well, we can maybe use the mailing list for that.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I'm writing down things already while doing an interview. That's interesting.
This is kind of what happens. I come into places and I just ask questions, and people go,
"Yeah, perfect." I'm not an expert, and let's a lot of we have the wisdom of the crowd, so let's use it.
Absolutely, the wisdom of the bees. My friend calls it
of the bees.
The bees,
nice.
Yeah. You have a hive, and all the bees do different.
Yep.
I'm not an entomologist. I don't know. I just take it.
Me neither.
I crowdsource ideas. There you go.
Perfect. So and anyone who can pick up any of these tasks, like make a mail, set up, make one travel guide for just from, like you said, Berlin, or I'm currently still in Valencia. How to get from Spain to the Netherlands, or exactly. That would help a lot.
Yeah, pick up a few different cities and just sit down and do. How do you get there? Roughly, because we can't tell people get the 12:06 train. We can sort of say trains run 5 times a day from here. Give people an idea of how to plan it, for example. And what else? I should have been more prepared for this, because in my brain,
that's okay.
I'm going to have a lovely
so many interesting. We can always do it again later and hear what you come up with later. What I was also thinking, there is this idea, and now probably the coming few weeks we have more time to put it more on the wiki, and that's the tiny task list. And these are tiny tasks that if you have an hour spare or half an hour spare or half a day spare, that you can just go to that list and pick one of these items of this list and work on it. I probably will be working on this as well at an event in the Netherlands that is called Hacker Hotel. And I think a lot of these accessibility tasks would be a nice one to pick up there as well. So
that would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And getting more brains and different viewpoints on this stuff is so important, because if we do it all the way I think it should be done, it will be wrong. But if we do it the way that lots of people think it should be done, it's probably going to be a bit, better.
More convenience for everybody. Yep. Wow. Will this be your first Dutch camp, or have you been to earlier camps?
I know. I'm so excited. I love coming to the Netherlands. It's a beautiful country, and you have lots of dams, and I like dams.
Because of civil engineering things. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it is. It is entirely that, I'm afraid. It's like I can't. It's fine. But yes, it's my first. Don't worry,
it's very great, right? It's a nice. It's lovely. I love it.
I was talking to Ad in one of the other teams, and, when he found out that I'd gone a long way round, so I could go. I'm going to butcher the name of the
Afsluitdijk.
Yeah, that's the one. And I went round to get a bus to go across it, just so I could go across it. And the fact that it's just like there's a wind farm right next to it as well. And I was there with a friend. It's like, how often do you take a bus to an offshore wind farm?
So you were geeking out on the Afsluitdijk.
Yeah,
lovely.
And then he says, "Oh, you need to come to the Frisian Islands, and we'll show you all of our aqueducts." I was like, oh. So I'm going there. I'm easily pleased. But that was a wonderful conversation I had, just completely out of the blue, with another a team member, and it was just like really lovely. And this kind of connection, I think, is so great for things like that, because we have those kind of conversations and all of that. I do need to.
We said it earlier on the show. You can turn to anyone who is out there at events, and everybody has a cool story to share, or you will have a nice conversation with. It's amazing what people can bring to the event as well.
But even what people think of that natively themselves to make the event more accessible. I think we were talking before about the ticketing structure, the tickets for the event. Because I need to actually buy a ticket Christmas was really expensive. I get paid next week. It's fine. But one of the ones which I noticed when I was looking through was there was a whole variety of different ones. And apart from the fact that I loved the procrastinerd for the late buyers, there's a couple of great ones in there around what's it called, the low on funds nerd, and the generous nerd. Because when we think about accessibility, it's not just physical disability or neurodivergence, but it's also about your socioeconomics. Precisely. And, you know, a lot of, especially younger people who are in like tech and hacker spaces and stuff, have, you know, big university loans, or they're living at home with their parents, or, you know, that applies to everyone across. Age isn't really a thing there. But so if you have people perhaps who are between jobs, or are just low paid because there is an entry level job, that ability to say, well, I can't pay the full ticket price, but I could pay 80% is great. But then when you have the generous one in there as well, and this I think is where we have such a community feel, is there are also a lot of people who are a bit better off and can put that a little bit more, and that helps to make it accessible to everyone. And when I saw that, I was so pleased, because that shows that community spirit, which I think is so a part of like nerd spaces. And that's great. And I, you know, I'd highly recommend, if anyone does have a few extra euros they can throw at this, please do, because that will help us to
someone else.
It's, you know, pay down the line, because one day you might need it as well. And I think that's, you know, things like that socioeconomic approach to it as well help us to make sure that those people who perhaps are at the most restricted end of, say, the disability spectrum, are still able to take part and bring those amazing thoughts and processes these people have. You know, your physical or mental impairment it doesn't stop you from having fantastic thoughts. You know, you might be able to bring us a wonderful talk. You might be able to do a demonstration. Just taking part really helps to improve us, like, as a society, I suppose. If we take it, you know, really big, might be a bit much to put on a single festival, but it's all part and parcel of building those blocks of creating a better place. So whoever came up with that idea, I love it. Thank you so much.
It has been around for numerous years already, from what I recall.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and we did play around with it a little bit, because there's also a thing called a corporate ticket that used to cost €1,000. Like, if your boss pays, let them pay up.
Yeah. I don't think my boss will,
but we lowered it a bit, and now we sell loads more. So that's interesting. So and we have a lot of generosity in our community, luckily. So from what we've seen in the numbers now, the concept really works very well. But I think we had it the last 2 times also.
So you've been thinking about this for a long time then, so that's brilliant.
But I think they have it at other events as well. I'm not well prepared on the tickets department right here. in that depth.
But if you've not bought a ticket yet, buy one.
Buy one. Yeah, we're almost halfway there. When this is in our WHYcast, we already will be there. I'm not quite sure yet. I know. So
that's exciting.
I know. Yeah, it's really cool. And is there anything else you would love to add, say, share, or?
I mean, obviously, I'm thrilled to be part of this, but really, anyone who wants to volunteer to help out with things, I've started a list of things I think we need to do on the accessibility page on the wiki already. But if you can take some of those to the Hacker Hotel, I think that'd be great. But anyone, just drop me a message on either email or Signal. I'm on the wiki, and we can talk about how best to. Like, if you need help in your team, or if you've just got ideas for things that we could do, or you think, you know, we should do, then please, get in touch, because I can't do this on my own. But I need other people's thoughts on what works for them and what doesn't, and we can then figure out, well, is that the right thing to do? talk, basically. And if it's easier for you to contact me in Dutch, that's fine. I can deal with that as well.
Okay.
Can't guarantee my reply will be brilliant, but I can,
It will be fine. Simon, talking to you has always been a pleasure. Thank you so much for finding the time to be a guest on the podcast, on the WHYcast, and really looking forward to meeting you in person at Field Day, April 5, and who knows, somewhere earlier, I don't know, but we will most certainly talk to each other before that.
Oh yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and take care.
So it seems logical to talk about the vacancy of the week right after this interview, because we already discussed it a little bit in the interview. But like we discussed, Simon loves bridges, railways, all the things, civil engineering, and he really needs help with web accessibility. So all the things digital, basically. Because that's not his cup of tea. So if you can help Simon out or know someone who can help Simon out in that department, please go to the website, to the wiki, to Team Accessibility. His email address is there. You can reach out to him and help him out. So that is our vacancy of the week. Help Simon make Why as accessible as possible. So last time you spoke a little bit about power thingies.
Yes, I did. And I spoke about the power as it was at previous events. So my predictions were for why that it would be arranged similarly. But as I understood, you had a talk with Team Power to see if I said everything correctly.
Yeah, so he never listens to the podcast, which is fine. Oh, this is so evil to say. No, but there are more people not listening to the WHYcast than that they are. So
just not yet. I mean,
not yet, but maybe he starts to listen now. No, but I had a lovely chat with Glenn about all the things power and the weird little playground that we're building together. So let's listen to him. So today I'm having a chat with Glenn, or Captain Power from Team Power, Team Nuts.
Yeah,
maybe
Team
that's
Nuts.
Also a nice one to explain to the non-Dutch speaking audience. But maybe you could tell a little bit about yourself and what your plans are for Why.
Well, my name is Glenn Pijnenburg. I'm the company owner of an international service company for mostly emergency power installations, most of them for hyperscale data center. We do that work all over Europe, from Madrid to Finland, Frankfurt, and also a little bit in the Netherlands. Besides that, I was Captain Power or Team Lead Power for together with some other guys for the Camp Zone events in the past for the last 18 years, just before it stopped before Corona or COVID.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah. I heard this week that COVID was already 5 years ago when it started. So
right, yeah.
Well, we're still there, so that's a good starting point. And our first edition was the edition for last time for the
MCH.
Yes, MCH. Thanks. Where we stepped in quite last minute because some problems occurred with the water supply, and sewage. Because we had some of those materials in stock and we didn't have any Camp Zone events, so Camp Zone stopped in Corona time. We had a plan to start after that, but that skipped because everyone went separate ways. Yeah. I was quite busy with my own company, and the rest of our guys we're still good friends. But, and the moment we stepped in, was quite interesting. It was like, I think 4 weeks or 5 weeks before the event, when Elger gives me a call, like, can you please help us with some water issues, some sewage issues? So, we sorted that one out. And when we are on the event, I have a group of close friends where the last 18 years did Camp Zone with. So mostly all of those guys, that was just one phone call away. Everyone can make time for this event. Yeah, well, we do that. So it's a team. I think it's a hardcore team of like 15 to 20 guys and girls. And when we were there was a problem with the power. Some late call deliveries and all those things. So fixed that just before the event. Everything went smooth. No one noticed anything. Well, I hope not. And afterwards, I was asked if you can assist or join the team, and in the progress of that, asked if I wanted to become the team lead of this year's event. It's already this year.
Yeah, I know it's this year already.
Yeah,
so approximately 200 days. Yeah.
Yeah. And the pronouncement "nuts" comes from the Dutch word. Well, it is a Dutch word, which means supplies coming from the local government. So water, sewage, and electricity. Because besides electricity, we also do sewage water, normal water, and some gas and some other things. So all utility driven specialties. Well, we have guys for that or girls. Who are assisting and building it up, doing the design of the event.
I saw a lovely explanation on the wiki as well, so we will link that in the notes. But it sounds funny to have a team nuts, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any idea last time at MCH what you were up for? Or of course you did a lot, like numerous of camp zone events already, but was this a first hacker camp for you as well, or?
Well, as crew, yes.
Closely, yeah.
But I know. Well, the camp zone was a purely gaming event. We had some small hackerspace things, but this is way bigger and people bringing way more equipment to a site than we're used to, because normally we forbid everything which has a red plug on it, and this works a little bit the way around. If you have something cool and you want to bring it in, it's fine. Just give a note to us and then we can sort it out. That was new for us because we were more looking into it as a camp zone. We were more seeing it as a standard event where you have a campsite where we provide electricity and where we provide a network. Therefore, I know what a network was, and they have some similarities. But the hacker event itself was completely, for me, like do whatever you like and do. There were not a lot of boundaries, which makes it quite fun, but also quite interesting from our perspective, even this year. But I think what was there 6 years ago, also on the edition before this one, where we had a site tour, just to see how it all works and how it works out. It was for us. It was like that. Oh, that's also a way to organize an event, let it loose, and see what happens, which is not in our nature. Because before my work, all the works we do now for my own company, and it's all. As a planning and as a line and as a fixed budget, and needs to be done by that date. Before
and you can anticipate on stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It's this is what we're going to do. We're going to box this off because then we fix this. Well, we can isolate this problem, fix it, and go to the next one. Where this one is more like everyone brings something and makes a situation out of it, but it's more loose, which also makes it quite interesting. The size of it is way bigger, but the event is shorter. It's camp zone 11 days. This one was a bit shorter, but yeah, it's interesting to see how it evolves. Also, all the meetings, I'm used to have some sort of structure, and I know now that a lot of friends of mine are going to laugh because I'm not the guy. If you say my name, structure comes as a second word. But Captain Chaos is sometimes a better word, but it works out. It's structured chaos. And this one is like all the meetings and all the things around. It's like we see what happens where we're, what I said, normally used to having everything boxed off and lined off. So it's also quite interesting to see how that evolves.
Very cool. And so if people on the field when the event is happening encounter something interesting, you were more than happy to sort it out, right?
Yeah, sure. Safety is always our main perspective. Absolutely. And within safety, you have, of course, some boundaries where you can play and move around it. But everything is interesting. I like electricity, and I like all the perspectives out of it. My field of knowledge is completely different than somebody who is involved in making PCBs or whatever. It's the same field of expertise, but completely opposite of each other.
Yeah.
So interested in everything, whatever everyone can brings, and how it will be.
And what have been the biggest challenges up till now for organizing Why?
Getting used to the way of working within the organization as itself. And then I mean, as what I said, normally we set boundaries and we make a fixed planning. This needs to be done before that date. And we always had in the past, or we still have, and most of our guys and girls of our own team, we are volunteers, but it's not like you can do whatever you want. It's you say something you're going to do, that's the thing you're going to do, and you're going to do that before that date, because everyone counting on that. And this is more like, for instance, I had last week a meeting with a battery supply from one of our volunteers, and I never thought of that you could step into a battery company and talk to them, like, can you supply us just a 10-foot container with a battery storage? Because it wouldn't pop my mind. Like, if I would ask that question to someone, you can rent it from us, but that's it. And it's unbelievably, you sit with a guy for 10 minutes and Mark, the volunteer, will arrange it. It's like, how the hell are we going? How are you going to start that meeting? Like, give us a battery. And before asking, the guy said, of course we have one you can use. You can play around with it. I mean, send an engineer to site, and okay, this is interesting. So
sounds cool.
That's what it's so funny to see that because of the name of the event and the past of it, everyone is interested and wants to see how this evolves, because that makes it quite interesting.
Yeah, it provides great use cases for companies like this as well. Yeah. Why
we never have an opportunity to play around and to experiment with those things, because I can write down a list of all the things I want to experiment with a battery. It's like you're never going to get that opportunity, or you need to buy one yourself, or you need to try it on the client side. But if I'm going to tell my clients why I want to try something on your very expensive battery, and you're going to look at me like,
are you?
Is your mental health still okay or whatever? Okay? Yeah. So, and this one is like, we have one. You can play around. And if we have a second one, you can also get it. It's fine. We can play around with it, and you can speak with our software engineers. And
wow,
amazingly.
Yeah, I can get that. A lot of people want to join your team, but from what I understood, it's just like a tight knit team already.
It's all the guys who are involved and girls who are involved in our last Campzone events. Immediately joined our teams. Like, this event is only once in the 4 years. Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
It's quite easy for us. Easier for us to plan. And everyone stepped in, so we had within 5 minutes a team of 15 to 20 guys who were completely experienced. This is going to be a fun summer. That's
so cool to hear. So you're really looking forward to it?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Is there any other recollection, memory thing that you find interesting or cool that you want to share?
Well, how much time do you have now? What I meant. We have, I have numbers of experiences of what I said before I had my company. I also worked in big power events, EK, WHYcast, Olympic Games, and what I said. All those things are backed off and matched, and we have weeks and months in preparation and planning. It for us, especially for me, I can't talk for the rest, but it's quite experience. How this works and how this evolves, and so it's a little bit. It's completely new for me, but it's not. the technical perspective is quite clear for me. The technical goal for me is quite clear, but the way to it is unique and special. And I find it interesting to see that it works out.
Now. It's. I recognize what you say. It's like a sort of a big playground from time to time. And of course, we're dead serious about safety and things like that.
Of course.
But within those boundaries, anything can happen.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to the journey to get to the summer. It's even better to get to the summer because it's way too cold for the moment. But it's going to the event itself is going to be fun. But I think the pre-staging is even going to be interesting anymore, even more in starting of the event.
So you can also recommend people to join in on the organization as well as volunteers
100%.
to learn crazy cool stuff. Yeah,
it's what I said. If you have any experience, and even not, but if you have any experience and you want to join another team, it's funny because you're stepping into a team and you can say things where you thought about the last 15 years in your own experience or in your own work, and here you can say it, and you're not going to be looked into your directory if your mental health is still okay. It's like, maybe that's a good idea to experiment with. So you can give it a thought, and you can say it within a team. It's a boundaried off playground. Maybe that's the best description. There is a goal. Everyone wants to go to the same goal, but the way to it is it's a big playground.
Yeah, a bit cat herding as well from time to time, but that's okay.
That's life.
That makes it fun. That makes it fun as well. Absolutely.
It wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fun that everyone would be the same, because then,
it would be a dead boring event.
Exactly.
So, Glenn, I think it's amazing that you and your team are giving all your time and energy for this, literally, as well. And really looking forward to all the crazy cool stuff you are bringing there, like big containers with, what was it again?
Batteries. Well, we have a main supply, so we're going to use the main supply for as much as we can, which also brings to some other technical issues like cable lengths and all those things. But that's also quite interesting to step into that game. But our main perspective is to run everything without any generators because we can.
And sustainability is a thing as well, right? So
it's more or less, because sustainability is always a thing. You need to bring the equipment to site. It also makes pollution, but it is interesting. Yeah, it is interesting to see what we can do and what we can learn from business cases, but it's not even a business case, but a case like this, as a what I said. A controlled playground where you can experiment really with a, for instance, a battery system, or really with, if we're going to combine a battery system with a very clean generator set or even hydrogen set. I'm also talking to a hydrogen company to see what we can do with that.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. So
we want to forward to the power talk at WHY.
Yeah.
Awesome. That will be great too. Yeah.
Well,
who knows?
It's the technical interesting, and of course also the environment. But everything we do for now within batteries, or if it's hydrogen, it's still ish. But you need to start. You need to start somewhere. It's like, right. And this is a very interesting case to do so, and especially when you have sponsors like, the first one we have on board. With a battery system, and we're also very enthusiastic to do it. That gives you an extra boost.
Yeah, can imagine. Very cool. So, final thoughts. If someone has never been to an event like this before, why should you come?
Why not? It's more or less if you're interested in technology and you want to see boundaryless technology where people think further than the box, and even without a box or without anything. I think this is one of the coolest events you can imagine, to see people combine from a completely field of perspective, because everyone can do everything, and everyone is involved. Everyone is interested in what someone else is doing.
Yeah.
Even if he gets it or not, he tries to understand it, and you can also you always see some contributions standing up on an event like this. And if you're not you don't have the knowledge of a special part, there is 100% somebody on an event like
field.
this, exactly, who can help you with that part. So,
you should just come. That's the basic.
Well, it's the controlled playground for technical stuff. And you can go to a standard fair where they can show you things within the boundaries. This is something we can make. Yeah, but this is an event where some parties bring equipment, and then you can see things which are not standard in the booklet or in the manual.
Yep. Love it. Glenn, thank you so much for contributing to Why, of course, and making time for this interview. And looking forward to all the amazing, cool stuff that you're bringing with your team as well. And hope we speak to each other soon again.
I guess so. Thank you very much.
Well, as you can hear in the interview, Glenn is really looking forward to this little party we are organizing here.
Well, he's not the only one.
He's not the only one. Ad, did we have some messages from listeners as well?
Yes, we did. And there were a bunch of questions in one email. And one of the questions was, are there any tables? Are there places to sit and hack on your badge or whatever? And the answer is yes. Yes, there's a lounge. There are food courts where you can sit around and talk to people. There's a whole bunch of villages, obviously. We discussed those earlier already. And most of them are very welcome to people joining and having a good time and hanging out and sharing stories. There will be a hack tent. Team Badge will probably have their own tent, or maybe part of the hack tent. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to be.
Capture the Flag has a tent.
I've seen both. But if you are your own village, you can even arrange for a tent with tables and chairs and stuff. And
maybe even a fridge for cold mate.
Yeah, definitely. So when registering for a village, you can also reach out to Team Meubelhaus, and they will have opportunities to get stuff for in your village.
Yep. So you can have you don't have to bring everything yourself. If that's difficult to bring everything.
Not having to take a giant fridge might be a nice, yeah.
So I think we're there then.
I think so, yes. We're at the end of the page, and on the next page it says, if you want to leave feedback, you can do that in the comments down here, if you're watching on YouTube at least. Otherwise, you can send us an email, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and do all the social media things. And thank you very much for watching and listening, and hope to see you next Friday.
WHYday.